This is Jennifer Gonzalez welcoming you to episode 216 of the Cult of Pedagogy podcast. In this episode, I have a message for administrators that I am calling Your Teachers Need a Win. Today's episode was going to be about something different. I'm still planning to share that information next time, but right now I think a lot of teachers who are right in the middle of another really challenging school year need something else. I'm going to shape it in the form of a message for administrators, but then I'll take it beyond that because it applies to all of us. First, as always, I need to thank the sponsors that make it possible for me to make this podcast. The first is No Red Ink. No Red Ink is a comprehensive writing platform that provides standards-aligned activities and instructional resources for the entire writing process. In some big news, No Red Ink recently released a ton of new content that's designed specifically for learners in grades 3 through 5. From exercises that engage students by incorporating their interests to interactive tutorials and remediation that create more moments of genuine learning, No Red Ink gives you everything you need to help students develop foundational skills and strong writing habits. To celebrate the release of their new offering, No Red Ink is giving Cult of Pedagogy listeners free access to all their premium elementary content through December 31st. To claim your exclusive access, sign up at cultofpedagogy.com/NoRedInk. Support also comes from the Modern Classrooms Project, which empowers educators to meet every student's needs. Created by educators for educators, the Modern Classrooms Project can help you create your own instructional videos, design structures to support self-paced learning, and ensure that each of your students achieves mastery. Join their free online course to learn the basics, or sign up for their virtual mentorship program, where their experts will prepare you to launch a modern classroom of your own. If you're ready to transform teaching, visit modernclassrooms.org to start learning now. Okay, so here's the context. I was having a conversation this morning with a teacher I'm very close to, someone who trusts me enough to be honest with me, and who does it in a way that is loving and generous. She was talking about how my website and podcast sometimes make her feel like she's not doing enough. She's doing it all wrong. Her teaching is never quite good enough. And that makes her feel like crap because all she ever does is work, to the detriment of her physical health, her mental health, and her relationships. To be fair, I am not the only one making her feel this way. She gets this message from professional development, from people who write books and articles and create media directed at teachers, and from her school leadership. None of us are sending that message in quite those words. Instead, we are offering up ideas, strategies, new tools, fresh ways to fine-tune and improve and grow, and it is all so well intended. But to an overwhelmed teacher who is trying desperately to just keep their head above water, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose. The message ends up getting reduced down to one thing: do more. She compared it to Pinterest, how you might be doing something like planning a baby shower for a friend, and you'll do some research and get a cool plan in place and buy all the things, and then you look at Pinterest and it's tile after tile of beautifully curated images and all these amazing ideas that you didn't do, but they're all great ideas, but you don't have the time or the budget to do them, and there's too many choices. And you look back at your baby shower stuff, and the shower is tomorrow, and you go, wow, this shower is going to be terrible. I'm terrible. And when I look back over the ideas that I've put out over the years, I can see how it could make a teacher feel that way. While I fully believe it's all good, useful stuff, I get how it could be overwhelming. It has always been my hope that it would be consumed on an as-needed basis, when people have the time and space for it, when they have a problem they want to solve. And maybe if teachers had total control over their time and their craft, it would work that way, but they don't. Administrators also consume this stuff, and they want their teachers to implement it. And far too often they want them to implement it now. This ignores all the good things teachers are already doing. And so even teachers who manage to avoid that Pinteresty comparison often have it placed in their laps anyway. So right now, I want to pause my usual stream of ideas and suggestions and talk to those administrators, to principals and superintendents and instructional coaches and anyone else in a position to tell teachers how to do their jobs. I have no new strategies or tools or books to share with you this week. Nothing new to implement. My only message for you is that your teachers need a win, and they need it now. When a person only receives criticism, direct or implied, and no praise, they're drained of motivation. And this is especially true when that person is doing something difficult, something like teaching. Without any feedback about what they're doing right, it becomes easier and easier to give up. The opposite is also true. Sometimes, even in the toughest situations, the smallest bit of praise can give a person enough confidence, enough of a dopamine hit to keep going and keep trying. But to work, the praise needs to be specific. Generic praise does no good at all. I had a principal one time tell me that I was one of his best teachers. And when I gently asked him how he knew that when he never came to my classroom, he thought about it and said he just knew because no parents ever called to complain. I really liked him as a person, but I'm sorry, that compliment didn't mean anything to me. I would have much rather had him watch me teach for 10 minutes and tell me one or two things I did that he thought were especially effective. Even if he only gave me that feedback once a year, it would do more for me as a teacher than what he did instead, and it would have motivated me to work even harder. So this is my ask of you as an administrator. Choose 10 teachers on your staff and make it a goal to give each of them one piece of specific positive feedback this week. For some, you might only need to think about what you've noticed during your past observations of them. For others, you might need to arrange a short classroom visit. Make sure the teacher knows ahead of time that you will only be looking for things to compliment them on. Even better would be to ask them to choose a time when they're doing something they think you'd like to see. If you're short on ideas, here are a few things you might compliment them on. 1. Relationships and rapport with students. Are they tuned into their students' moods? Do they seem to know their students well? Do their students seem to be relaxed? Do students take risks and seem comfortable asking for help? Do students show signs of liking and trusting their teacher? 2. Decision making. Are they good at noticing when a student is struggling with material? Are they able to course correct when something goes wrong? Do they have a good sense for when more examples are needed, when some students are getting restless, or when it's time to switch things up? 3, clarity and delivery. Are they good at explaining things, giving instructions, coming up with relevant examples? Is their delivery engaging, warm, entertaining, relatable? Do they provide adequate wait time or ensure that many students are included in the learning? Do they seem excited about the thing they're teaching? 4, classroom management and logistics. Have they set up any systems in the classroom that makes it run well? Do you notice them modeling behaviors that students might emulate? Are there any signs that students have been given the tools they need to manage some of their own learning independently? 5, lesson planning. Do they come up with interesting activities to teach their content? Do they ask challenging questions? Are they good at managing time so that activities finish on time and students are let go when they should be? Do they make good use of unexpected leftover time? 6, design. Is there anything about the design of instructional materials, seating arrangement, or the classroom that makes them especially effective or inviting? Please, 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 do not mistake this for a checklist that you should use to suggest areas for improvement. It is not a walkthrough sheet. And this list could be 3 times this long. Every teacher is good at something, and they need to hear about it. The more specific you can be, the better. After this week is over, if you've done 10 teachers, pick 10 more and repeat the process. If 10 was too much the first week, just do 5 or 2 or however many you can handle. My guess is that once you've done just a few, you're going to want to do more, and it's going to get easier. because the person receiving the compliment isn't the only one who gets a dopamine hit. The giver gets one too. On top of all that, this process takes very little time and it's totally free. And in education, we like fast and free. If you are not an administrator, you can take this small challenge into your own relationships with your students, your colleagues, your own kids, your partners and family members and friends, and your administrator. They need it too, probably more than you realize. There is not a person alive who wouldn't benefit from a genuine, specific compliment. In 2016, I posted this incredible video about a teacher, Stephanie MacArthur, who did an activity with her students called the Compliments Project, where every student took a turn sitting at the front of her classroom while their peers wrote compliments on the board behind them. When they were finished, the student would stand up and read the compliments in front of everyone. And when I tell you it's emotional, you just have to watch it. It's absolutely worth 5 minutes of your time, and it's a beautiful illustration of just how much we all need more praise in our life. I'll post the video over on the post for today's episode so you can see it. So that is it for today. A pause in the fire hose of ideas and suggestions and a request that you give some genuine compliments this week to the people in your life who need it. If you take me up on it and it goes well, I would love to have you come over to the site and tell me about it, because as we hear each other's stories, it will not only sort of reinforce this idea that this is a good thing to do, but it may give people some ideas for things that they may not have thought of when it comes to giving compliments. So just go over to cultofpedagogy.com, click podcast, and choose episode 216, and that'll get you to the right page. Thank you so much for the work you do.